The MLB record for most no-hitters in a season is 7. We're about 42, 43 games into the 2021 season. We already have 6 no-hitters. That is absolutely insane. So what are your thoughts on all the no-hitters going on in the major leagues?
It's unreal, and I actually thought it was 7. I didn't realize it was still 6. So yeah, I'm surprised that I mean, usually on average, I believe I looked this up. I think ever since the MLB started, the average amount of no hitters per season is 2, and we are, I believe it's what, almost 40 games into this MLB season, and we already have 6. We're not even halfway, not even close to being halfway yet. I still we're about at a third at this point. So we're on track to have almost 20 MLB no hitters this season, which is 18 more than average, which is insane, absolutely crazy. And we are seeing multiple teams. I just think this is a case I brought up earlier. We are starting to see now an age where everyone is becoming more and more talented. We are getting better players. We are getting better hitters, better pitchers. And whenever they are on their game that night, they are unstoppable. And I think that is really fun. You want to see these games where you have a pitcher throwing, 10 strikeouts a game, or you want to have a guy hit 3 or 4 home runs in one game. Like, you want to see these exciting moments and see these records continue to be broken by single season players. And I think that now that we are starting to see that, a lot of people are not liking it. They don't like the fact that baseball is becoming more of a, either a no-hitter or a 10-run game. It's always never like in between anymore. I know a lot of people don't really like that, but I think this is what makes baseball more exciting. I would much rather watch a no-hitter happen than I would watch a 1-0 ball game. Just a non-eventful ball game where, they're still allowing hits. They're still, runners going on base, but nothing's happening. You're not getting any excitement. I want to see these games where you're actually cheering for someone. You want them to beat this big task they have in front of them in order to, to get a no-hitter, to break another record. Like, you want to see this more often. And I think this really helps the league, in my opinion. Though I do know that I believe someone said that that maybe they're considering changing the pitching mound, or maybe throw it back a little bit more, maybe change the baseball more. I don't really know how it's going to work out for sure. I've seen a couple of thoughts on that, and honestly, I don't really have any opinions on that. I'm not too sure all of the MLB, science behind the pitching mound and everything like that. I don't pretend like I know anything about that. But I think the way it is right now, you are getting a lot of excitement. You're still having hitters hit really well. There's still plenty of home runs, plenty of all that's going on. But you're also having these exciting no-hitters on top of that. You're getting a lot more of the outside on opposite spectrums, and we really like to see that. I think this is really what makes the game a lot funner.
Yeah, if I watch baseball, which I just really can't get into it. Like, if I watch a couple innings, if I watch a full game, I'm pretty much on my phone half the time. I just really cannot get into it. The thing that intrigues me, if it's a high-scoring game or if it's a no-hitter, and, no-hitters this season, there's 6. Technically, I believe it was Madison Bumgarner. I could be wrong. There's 7 because, he threw that, like I said, I might not have been Bumgarner, but I know it was one of the more premier pitchers in the league. He threw a no-hitter in a 7-game inning. It was the second game of a doubleheader, I believe. And since it was not a 9-inning game, that did not technically count in the MLB rulebook. So in a way, you could consider there's actually 7 no-hitters this season. I really like no-hitters. They're fun and everything. It makes you really want to watch baseball, regardless of even if you're a big fan or not. The one thing I want to say, though, if this was any other year, I would not really say this. But, this season kind of in particular, this kind of reminds me of the NBA. You think of triple doubles. You think, lots of players, have them sometimes. And Russell Westbrook, he's averaged a triple double for nearly the past 3 or 4 years now. And in the NBA, it's kind of like, triple doubles are a lot more common. A decade, 15 years ago or so, it wasn't really common, not nearly as much. I know Oscar Robinson had that fantastic season years ago, averaging a triple double one year. 20 years ago, 15 years ago, there was not nearly as triple doubles. And as we come into a, more different era of basketball, there's a lot more. And, it's not really as, I would say, exciting or, interesting because it's happening so often. I really like no-hitters and everything. They're really cool. But I would kind of compare this to a triple-double in basketball and the fact, because it's like you said, there's about 1 or 2 a year. And the fact that there's 6 so far when some teams have played 42 games this season. It's kind of, I wouldn't say it's demolishing the greatness in a way, but I don't really know how to describe it. It's kind of like, when when there's six and there's basically one a week, they're not becoming as, spectacular because they're happening so often, kind of like the triple double comparison in the NBA. To me, I would love to see a no hitter in baseball. If I have a chance to watch it, I'm definitely going to see it. To me, I think the thing in baseball that is just amazing to see, nothing better than, is a perfect game. We don't see those very often. There's not been one, I don't think, in quite some time. You look at all the sports. I mean, you look, football, baseball, and basketball. I would say that's probably the most difficult thing to accomplish for a team. Um, I mean, these no hitters are spectacular and everything, but I think with just having six already this season, they're kind of taking greatness away because they're happening so often. They're becoming not as special in a way, in my opinion.
I think you do make a great point, and I do somewhat agree with you. I do think the MLB analogy that you gave was actually a very good example because triple doubles back in the day were very rare, and we were super excited to see them happen. And now that Russell Westbrook's getting them pretty much every night, LeBron got one last night. We're seeing James Harden, KD, Kawhi Leonard, all these guys get triple doubles almost every single night. It feels a lot less spectacular now, but I think at the same time, you look at the opponents they're going against. Russ Westbrook's going against another guy who can average triple doubles. So now you have a matchup between two guys who can get triple doubles, which overall increases the competition between the two players, which I think makes it a lot more exciting. But I think I do think that there is definitely seeing that a lot of these accolades are being broken pretty easily kind of, maybe makes it a little less exciting now. But I think we're starting to see, all this tells me for really is that we're starting to see players get a lot better. And that's all we really want in this league. We want to see players continue to get better and better and continue to go against each other and get higher level play. And I think we're now starting to finally get that. And I do agree with you. I think the one thing that MLB has going for them right now that the NBA does not, I think, is the fact that they have the perfect game. They have the very, very rare perfect game still. Players they're playing no hitters, but it is extremely hard to not walk a player, not hit a player, not have an error happen in the game. That is not only a pitcher effort, but also an entire team effort to get a perfect game. And so that is still very, very rare. We rarely ever see that. And I think that is one thing that the NBA does not have. Triple doubles really feel like the most rare feat for a player, that or 50 plus points. We're starting to get that pretty regularly now, so it's not as exciting anymore. So now when it comes to the NBA, I don't really think there's any real incentive to watch a matchup unless it's a star player go against another star player. I think at this point it's kind of been, there's not really any stats or anything that you could really be informed on or really be excited to watch it unless it's a career accolade being broken. I think for the MLB, if there's a perfect game going on television, you want to go watch it because it is still an extremely big feat and it's still really exciting to happen. So those no hitters might be getting a little bit more common and a little less exciting. Perfect games are still way up there. And I think it even, in my opinion, it even makes perfect games even more exciting at this point because we are starting to see, no hitters. We're starting to see a lot more of those. But, even whenever these teams and players are having no hitters, they're not having perfect games. So we're starting to see more of a ratio between no hitters to perfect games, making it feel even more rare to have a perfect game, if that makes any sense. So I think that this, in my opinion, makes the perfect games even more exciting in a way. And I think that's what, like I said, MLB really has going for them right now.